1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, do it.
What's up guys, it's me RoseDopest and welcome to the first video of me doing a Photoshop tutorial on how I make my custom cards. So I will show you guys how I got this all the way from this. So I start off with all my custom cards. Well, I'm going to show you guys the template I make. So with the template, I make it from this. This is the Brock Lesnar Ring Domination card that you guys know from. So from the start, let's that's hidden completely. I always start with the lasso tool. What I do is I crop down here about the shape of the bottom half of the frame. Now this is a bit difficult because I have to like guesstimate where I want it to be. Most of the time it works out just fine for me, but like there are small parts that are semi difficult to see because it's all so dark, but I got the decent shape of it. So like right there, all the way up there, and then stop right there, go all the way across. Actually no, go up a little bit, then across, down. Now this is curved, so I have to do this piece by piece, unfortunately. Oh, that's a bit crooked. I'm gonna have to fix that in a second. Piece by piece, just keep doing this. There's an easier way to do it, but I have my ways. I'm very complicated. To do that, and then what I do is I click Control J. That's the duplicate, so we'll get this layer and it'll look like this. This is a bit sloppy, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shape this up just a little bit, right there. I'm just gonna cut this little part out because it's not needed, to be honest. So delete that. Now there's a little hole part. Crap. Alright. Basically, all I do is I just use the lasso tool constantly because the lasso tool is literally a life-saving tool. And then where's it close? There we go. And then boom. Alright, so that's all smooth. We got that figured out. And now the next part I do is the frame for the side. So what I do is first I crop out the season 3 sign just like I did with the bottom, which is pretty easy. Alright, boom, get that, and then Control J again, hide it, go back to this, and cut this side out. So what I do with this side is, since I got this little bottom half that's red, that's gonna be changing with the filters that I do later on, so I'm gonna keep that part. So start right here, go under, over, and try and get as much black as you can. We're gonna blend that later, so if you get a little bit of the Brock Lesnar card or whatever card you use to make your template, it won't matter because it's gonna be blended out in a second. I do these one by one because I don't want to mess it up by trying to do all of them at once and then completely ruin the template. So what I do is I keep going with these. I pressed shift. You have to hold shift down and then you can just do another one and keep that same first one. So hold down shift the whole time while you're doing this. I think if you let it go, it's gonna mess up the first template you make, so you don't want to do that. And just keep framing it out, try and get as much black as you can and as little red. If you get a little bit of red, it's all G. We'll just blend that later with the blur tool. Alright, boom. This is the slowest part of the tool making. Once you get this part done, it's pretty easy, to be honest. And then I'll show you guys the fonts that I use, and it's not as complicated as it looks. It's just a very slow process getting the template made. Alright, and then when you have all those, do Control J again. When you hide it, oh, that one's still hidden. That should be pretty done, and you're gonna have a little blank space there. I'm gonna crop that and lasso that together. So now that we have that all done, we have to get the final space, which is the little red section in the middle. Boom. Control J. And we have that. So we have the structure of our template. We're gonna select all of these by clicking the bottom one, press shift, and then click the top one. That's gonna highlight all of it. Right click it, and then merge the layers together so it's just one big thing. Actually, no, I'm not gonna merge those. I'm gonna keep these separate for now because I have some blending to do. and then that's a bit sloppy. I'm gonna fix that in a second. So we're done with this picture completely now. We don't need it anymore. So what we're gonna do is, actually, we need to fix that gap down there because it's gonna bug me the entire time if we don't fix it. I think this is enough. Control J. It always, like, whenever I need to do something, that's when it starts messing up. Okay, that's better. That's what I have to do for now. Let's move these to the top and blend with this. Alright, so that's all done. Let's hide this really quick so we can blend this. So when we blend it, it's not really much to blending, to be honest. Let's use the magic wand tool and get rid of, whoops, wrong thing. Get rid of as much red as we can. So just highlight it, delete, highlight, delete. If you delete a little bit of black, it's alright because it's going to be blended, so it doesn't matter. Try and get rid of as much red as possible so that doesn't show up on the future card that you make. You want to try and get this as blended as possible. So try and get as much black and gray as you can. Get rid of all the color from the previous card. So that looks like most of it's already gone. So what we're going to do is we have to fill right there just a little bit so it looks a bit better for when we make the cards. So what I do with this is I do a duplicate of everything that we have. So I go to select, and then I go down to color range, and with the color range, this little screen right here is going to pop up. For the color range, I select on the card, I click this, and it's going to highlight everything that is white. And then what I do is I duplicate, why is it a layer text? I don't know why that was created, but I duplicate that, delete that layer text, that shouldn't have been there, hide this, and then all of the stats I delete, so all we have is the little season 3 sign left. I keep that because when I do my color changes, you want to make sure that that doesn't change color, so you duplicate that. We're gonna set that all the way up top, but just keep that, rename the layer to season 3, this as base, and then this as stats. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to text and duplicate this as much as possible. So power, what the font I use is Edo SZ regular. That's the font used for all of the Supercard cards from what we have mostly. And then I have a color overlay on it. So this is the exact color key that I used. What I did was I just selected the color from right here, and it's the same. It's a little bit of like a light pinkish white, yeah. So I copied that color, and then what I do is I size this up so it matches perfectly. I hold shift and go to the corner and then drag it down so it stays the proper size the entire time. Actually, I don't even need the proper size because I'm just gonna do that and make it fit somewhat. Okay, zoom in a bit. Okay, this is where things get very precise, and if you mess up, it doesn't matter because we're just gonna hide that part anyway, so it won't matter that much of the overlay. So that looks about right. Yeah, that looks just fine. So what I do is I duplicate that, change this to toughness, and then I move it down a little bit. So with you duplicating it, you won't have to resize and everything because it'll be all in the same font size. Make that fit just fine. Duplicate again, and then put speed, and then go down right over there. Okay, speed and charisma always gets a bit difficult because it's a bit wider and the angle's different for some reason. It's like that for every single time you make this. Duplicate. I think charisma is going to be a bit different as well. But other than that, this is a pretty easy template to do, especially if you're making custom cards for yourself and not trying to stick to the Supercard one, because if you try and stick to the Supercard one, the blending of the background is the most difficult part. So now what I do with these is I convert them all to smart objects and rename it to stat name, and put that all the way up top as well because that needs to stay on top of everything. And then what I do is I hide it, and then I do the poly tool again, select only around it, try and stay inside as much as you can, you don't want to go on the outside, for the blending section. Alright, so you have that, and then what I do is I go to the where are you? Spot healing brush tool, and then I go back to the stats side and blend this as much as possible and keep it in there so it's full black, and then do that section one more time. Try and make this as dark as possible, make sure it stays blended. So that's it, perfectly like that, and just do that for all the other ones. What I'm going to do is what I showed you guys earlier, the shift, so it goes on for all of these. I won't have to worry about having to keep doing these individually. I just mark them all together and then go blend it all in one big thing. So charisma, boom, and then with the tool, just make the brush size a little bit bigger. I made it 76 so I can just do one big swipe, and just keep on correcting it as much as you can until it all looks blended in one big thing. Oop. Undo that one, it looked better before. Alright, now I'm going to make the brush a little bit smaller so I can get a more precise blend. Alright. So it looks like that little thing right there. Now with that gone, I'm just going to do a little bit more touch up. So get the brush again, make it a little bit smaller, make my size 9, and just fix that little section right there. Fix that. And fix that, and we're all good. So now when we turn back on the stat name, it looks no different than what it was before, and we do the color change for the for that, it won't affect anything. So now that those two are together, the season 3 and the stat name, I'm going to combine them and call it the stat names. That's perfect. So now we're going to do the same thing for the actual stats, but those are going to be separated because we're going to be actually changing those. So 8,520. Now with this one, you have to change the color again. So highlight it, to go to your color wheel in the bottom, and select this one. Okay, and now it should be the bright white that I use for the stats. So what we're gonna do is size this again. This is what we do constantly. So overpower, we're gonna size that. It's a bit different because it's longer. So from what I told you guys to use the shift in the corner, you don't have to do that for these because they all size differently, but later on when we actually make the card, we're gonna have to do that. So let's size it so the 8 fits over what were the stats? 457. 8,457. Alright, that fits over perfectly. Copy. 8,376. I think Ito's a bit thicker than what Supercard uses, but it doesn't matter all in the end because they all look the same, to be honest. 67. Boom. And now we have that done. So what we're going to do is call this charisma, speed, toughness, and power. What we do is we mark all of these, put them in a folder, and we're going to call this stats. And we're going to put that all the way at the top, so that's fine where it is right now. We're just going to hide those for now so we can blend these. So do exactly what we did earlier with the blending. This is all you have to do for the stat section for now at least. And then at the end when we have everything else done, we're going to blend it all together so the base and the stat section are all one big thing. So when we do the color change, it'll affect both. So let's do this really quick. I think I went too far out with that one, but it's alright. It'll all blend properly. Alright. Alright, so that's one big thing. Let's go back to our patch. Is that the patch one? Yeah, the spot healing brush. Change the brush size to a 90. Just do 2 big swooshes. And that's all G, so that fits perfectly. It's not too messed up right there. And when we turn it on, it looks just like it was before. So now we can change it and it'll fit just right. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna blend the edges a bit. So I get the blur tool, and I have the hardness on 100%. So I don't have to like rush over it multiple times. I just do one swoop, and then another one. Let's reduce the brush size a little bit so we don't go over the other one. So we get that corner right there, right there, right there. Alright, let's actually get rid of that section right there because that's pretty big, and then I'll reblend it. Alright, same for right here. You can see that big white section. Alright, now that those are gone, blend over it. Alright, so now we have that section, and it looks pretty good to me. You can't really tell that it was from the Brock Lesnar card, so we're going to get rid of that and go to the base. Now the base is going to be a bit more difficult, so we're going to do the same thing that we did for the stats. We're going to do the select, color range, and then select the WrestleMania section. Press OK. Oh, that's doing it for everything that's visible. So give me a second. We're going to hide those. Select color range again. This. Alright, so it's going to highlight the WrestleMania 33 and the 0 out of 50. We're going to do Control J, and that should have duplicated. Yep, it duplicated that. And then another thing that you have to do for this one, because it's pretty easy to forget, this is not the same color. That's a little gray. So if you do your color changes and you don't duplicate that, that's going to be a different color when it comes out to it. So you do Select, Color Range again, and then this one. Now this is going to highlight a lot. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to duplicate and then hide everything else and delete. Yeah, you're gonna have to delete a lot because a lot of the frame itself is shaded gray, so it picked up all of that. What you have to do is delete around it. It doesn't matter if you don't get it 100% completely, because it all is gonna blend properly anyway. Because it's gonna be over a black logo, and it's gonna be below the other one. So if you have like a little bit of white, it's all right because it's going below it. So delete that. That's set perfectly fine. And then you're gonna move that below this one. I think it is already below. So then blend these together, merge the layers, and call it WrestleMania stats. And then zoom back out. All right. The hard part's over. Now what we have to do is blend the name. First we have to get the actual name overlay so we can know what it is. So with the Brock Lesnar font, I use Agency FB Bold. I think that's what I use. No, that is not what I use. And I can't spell either. Brock Lesnar. So what do I use? I use... is it regular? No, it's not regular. I think it's Kaluna. Yeah, I'll use Kaluna condensed. Oh yeah, Kaluna Kaluna. I'll put it in the description. But I use that, and then zoom in. What I do is I size it a bit weird. So I size the B first, the first letter, and then what I do is while you're in transform, you have to make sure you're in transform. Click the what is this tool called? It's a little like warp one, and with the warp you do bulge, and then you make the bulge, instead of 50 you're gonna make it -13 for the bend. So -13 is going to be the bend, and that's about the proper size you need for all of these. Press enter twice. Go back into transform and size it properly. So for most of these, that's about the size you want to use for the arch, and it should fit semi-decent. Won't fit 100% the same as Supercards because they have a little slant as well, but it'll look about right. Alright. This is going to be as close as you're going to get, to be honest. Because you have to remember, this is a custom card. This isn't all the stuff they do. And plus, I don't like go into full detail like they do. So, yeah, it won't be completely perfect, but it's going to be pretty dang close. Sorry, this is the longest part it takes, just sizing this. Alright, that's what we're gonna have. Brock Lesnar, and then it goes back to Ito for the proc. So F5, highlight, go back to Ito. I have a lot of fonts. Back to back to Ito, and back down here. Now with this, you don't have to worry about changing the color because this is a custom card. But if you were to do the like event card itself, if you're trying to make a template for that, what you would have to do is do the color overlay like I did earlier with the top, and make it that same red as it is for the Brock Lesnar and the proc. So let's size this semi the same. Rotate a little bit. Alright, so that's good. Just Control J and then plus 44 to power and plus 444 to toughness. And then what we're going to do with that is do the text arc as well. Style bulge. We're going to do the bulge one, and then the bin is going to be -13 as well. Sorry, not bulge. Yeah, it is bulge. Whatever. I think I did it wrong. So with that, and then you have to do transform. Yeah, then transform and warp, bulge, bend, -13. Okay, maybe it isn't bulge. Yeah, it's arch. No, I don't know. I swear it was bulge. Okay, this is complicated. It changed up completely for me because I could have sworn I just used bulge. Let's check Brock Lesnar. Yeah, it's bulge, -13. Why isn't it working for the power and charisma? Warp, bulge. Can we just bring it down ourselves, maybe? Yeah, it's being weird. Oh no, I don't know. It might be arch. Yeah, arch. 5. Alright, and then you do the arch for this one. That was weird, it wasn't working for me. Enter twice. I did 44, not 444. Sorry, this is a bit sloppy. This is my first one. And then size it properly. Most of the time, the arches for all of these are 13, from what I've noticed. It won't be perfect, but again, you're gonna blend the background, so it'll be alone. You're gonna want to try to get it as much as possible from what the original one was. Alright, so then we're gonna hide those, and then double tap Brock. And this is only if you were to do the actual card itself. So you would do it like that and then hide it, and do it for the F5 and the proc as well. But we're not gonna do that because we don't need to. So then what we're gonna do is select all the names with the tool again. I forgot what it was called. I'm terrible with Photoshop, but I'm getting better. And select it all for blending, and then spot healing. Go down to the base and blend it all in. Alright, so that's all done. This one's a pretty easy one because it's all just one big thing. Whoops, not that big of a brush. Okay, there we go. Now that that's done, turn all of these back on. Alright, so that's as good as it's gonna get. So we're gonna put all of these in a folder called nameplate. Nameplate. And then move that up right above stats. Hide that. And then what you do is, if you have one of these, I currently have one, but if you don't, just take a screenshot from a different card if you have a blue arrow, and duplicate it if you have a yellow arrow. Boom. Whoops, I made it a bit too thin. Go back. This is complicated. Alright. One more time. This should work this time. Alright. I didn't care about sizing at the end. So what you do is you go back down to the base card, duplicate that, hide this, and then use the magic wand tool and get rid of all the black on the perimeter. So you'll have just that left. And if you have an up arrow, you leave it just like that. And if you have a down arrow, duplicate it and then press transform, do the angle to 180 degrees. Now flip it upside down and it should size perfectly. So we're gonna rename this down and rename this top, not top, up. Up. And then we're gonna move both of those all the way to the top because you want to make sure they're on top of every single card. Put it in the arrow folder. You don't want to have both on at the same time though, because just in case one's bigger than the other, that's going to be a bit of an issue. So then what you're going to do is go over this again and blend it so it looks like that's just a blank space, because you don't want to change it and then like you didn't size it properly and it shows that it's another one below it. So that's all good. That's blank. Turn arrow back on. Okay, I'm actually gonna keep that, to be honest, because I need that little gray section. What I'm gonna do is select color range, that little gray bit right there. We really need that. And it's being picky and not doing it. Okay, that's cool. We're just gonna have to go back in, do just a small layer. I think I accidentally cropped it out when I was getting rid of the black. Duplicate. We're gonna keep that right there. And then for these two, they're all empty, so let's zoom back out. Alright. Those are empty, so what we're gonna do is turn off all the non ones, just so we can see what we have working with. That's just the arrow base. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna combine both of these together, merge it, and we have our template. The template is all done. And then turn those stats on and you're all good. So with this now, what we do is if you want to do a color change, so let's turn the stats off again. If you want to do a color change, this is what you do. You go to this one and then click this little section right here and go up to hue and saturation. So if you have a different card, this little screen is going to pop up. So what you want to do is to try and match it as much as possible. So like I'm going to recreate the Sasha Banks card that I made. So I think I made it like a purple. So make it -60. And then so it doesn't affect the other card, you want to do is shift click that and merge the layers so it's all G. I don't have a right arrow. So that's gonna be a bit of a struggle. So I'm gonna open my files really quick, put that over here. So what you want to do is when you have your background, go to layer 0 where the Brock Lesnar card was, so it's always behind the frame. And what do I want to recreate? Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do a different one. So I'm going to make a different card. I'm going to make a green kind of Money in the Bank themed card, since that's right around the corner. This is going to be a new card itself. So make that green, merge layers. And as you can see, when I did the color change, it didn't affect the WrestleMania or the 0 out of 50 or that right there. I wanted to keep that a good steady, so you know what I mean. So Money in the Bank. I have some things I got off Google, and then what you do is you just experiment with what best works with you. So I have this little green thing right here. Let's make it a bit bigger. Alright, like that, and then duplicate it, drag it over, duplicate it, drag it over, duplicate it, drag it over. Alright, so we have a semi base right there. Go back one more time. I'm gonna steal something from my who do I need to steal from? I'm gonna steal from the Let's do from Naomi section because she has green already. So let's go behind these. So go back down to layer 0. And I'm going to put this over here. So we have somewhat of a base. So it's not so much transparent going on in the background. So do that like that. And then go get all of these. Basically, okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move this a little bit because it's all a bit close to the border. So move that all the way over here. Alright, move it like that. So we have a bit more to work with, so we're not so squished in. And then with these, resize it a bit. Zoom out. Pull this in just a little bit so we're not going off the card. Alright. Make it a bit wider on this side because we're going to crop that out. A little shorter. Okay. And then with this one, bring it in some because that's what's actually holding it back. This one as well. So it isn't so sloppy. And let's bring that down to the bottom so the front one is what's on top. Alright, that looks a bit better. So what we're going to do is we have the background set. We're going to merge those layers together. And then go back to the Money in the Bank file I have. All of these are from Google. So I'll just Google images from what you think would fit best. Zoom back in. Alright, so that's what we have so far. And then since it's Money in the Bank theme, I kind of want to have like a money overlay. I have a lot of pictures from Google. I didn't know which one would look best. Do I want this one? Alright, so yeah, I'm going to do that one, but I don't want it to be so prominent. So what I'm going to do is make it hard light and then change the opacity to, let's say 71. So 71 is going to be the new opacity. And then we're going to do one more so it's a bit more concentrated where the superstar is. Make that hard light as well. And make the opacity 75 so it's a bit stronger than the one before. So then we have that all set. I'm not going to merge those just in case I want to move it when I set the superstar. And I got some renders from one of my render creators. So we're going to put that over that. I'm going to do big E. So we're going to size it just a little bit. Bring it down. Alright. And then what I do is I like a little bit of a curve. So I rotate them to the right just a little bit, about 2%. 2.5. Alright, so that's all set. And then I have a lot of preset styles. One style that I do like the most is inner light. So what I do is I might do a gradient overlay as well, since this is going to be a money in type card. Okay, I have a set style, so I'm going to turn that on really quick. Alright, turn off the outer glow because we don't need that. Alright, so with the gradient overlay, this is what I have for my style settings. With the settings I use, I think this was for the SummerSlam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this color to a bit more of a greenish so it fits in better with the card. So the color, let's make that green. Yeah, that green looks better. And then the yellow, we can honestly make this just a bit more of an orange yellow, or not an orange yellow, a greenish yellow, so it fits better. And then this middle yellow, make this the plain yellow, or the like lime yellow. And then that's the settings we use for the scaling, and it makes Biggie look like that. That looks perfect. And then inner glow, I love my inner glow. You guys know I love inner glow. Reset to default because that's not my default. And I have it like this, but I'm going to change it back to linear. Make the opacity 100% and change the color to like that dewy green. Alright, so this is what we have so far with the glow. So that's Biggie glow done. Now what we do is change the stats. I think Big E is a right arrow, but I currently don't have my green arrow, my blue arrows set, and I don't know where I put them. I think they're in the patent file. Okay, I'm just gonna have to use a previous card to do that. Let's turn off the arrow really quick. Nameplate, big ending. And we didn't do the curve for this as well. Sorry about that. Let's do this arc. The bend for this is going to be 9 because it is above the other one. You don't want it to be the same curve. It'll look a bit weird. Alright, that's done. And then when you have shorter names, the curve is going to look a bit weird. So with this, I'm going to have to make it a bit wider and smaller. I might have to adjust the curve because if it's a short name, you have to adjust the curve a bit more so it fits better. So I'm gonna probably make it -18, and then make it a bit wider. Drop it low, shrink it. Okay, not that wide because the E's really far apart. And then big ending. I'm gonna lower that a bit. Boom. Big E. Keep adjusting this until it fits right. Shorter names are very difficult to work with because it changes everything completely. I should have duplicated it before I did that. If you guys are going to make a shorter name, please duplicate it so you have your original one. I'm just so used to it I can always go back to the normal size. This is about what it's going to look like. And then I have a preset color range for what I want to do. So this is all I did. I did the bevel and emboss and you know what it is. This is the settings for it, and then I did texture as well. Inner shadow, Satan, color overlay, gradient overlay, and then outer glow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take that outer glow off so it doesn't go over the card, and do the same things for the stats, big ending, and the proc. It's gonna look a bit different because it's smaller, so it makes it brighter. But I'm gonna leave the outer glow on that. I just didn't want the outer glow on the top one because it would make it look a bit difficult. So with Big E, if you want to have that little effect of the stuff in front of him, what you do is you select him and then you go back to your files for what you wanted to use. I'm gonna use the same one that we used before. I'm gonna use this. Make it a bit wider. Give it that. And then do a money effect. Like this. Make it a bit smaller though. Down there. And then hard light. No, not hard light. Soft light? No. Okay, we're just gonna have this normal, not dissolve, normal. Okay, and then we're gonna do a color overlay. Okay. That made it dark in color. Hold on, give me a second. Color overlay for this. Make it green. Make it that dew green. A bit darker, so it looks like real money. Yeah, like that. And then do one more smoke over it so it looks proper. Or should we do the money in the bank sign? No, let's not do that. Let's do one more do over it so it blends in better. Zoom out a bit because it's a bit too wide. Alright, boom, we have that all done. So with this now, all we have to do is the cropping. So what we're going to do is we're going to blend those together, merge it into one big layer, and then go to the rectangular tool. And we're going to start at the bottom, go up right there, all the way up to the top of the nameplate, delete. And we're going to do the same thing for the Big E. Delete that, and then same thing for merge layers, these two, so none of the card is out. And then over here you're gonna do the same thing, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna stop right there at the corner. So anything above the green bit of the season 3, you don't delete those, and right there as well, biggie, and then the rest is good. And then for up here, for like if you have this little section up here, what you want to do is you want to transform, zoom out a bit, make it just a little bit smaller so it's easier on the card for when you actually put it on something. And then what I do is I erase just the edges, so it looks better when I put it on the Supercard template. And then I get the blur tool again, make it a bit bigger, 83, and just blur the edges so they look like they fit more, so it's not so crazy. Alright, boom. Alright, and that is how I made the biggie card. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to become a dopes of the day. Follow me on Twitter, where I will be releasing more of these Money in the Bank cards. I really like this template. I kind of just came up with it, as you guys see. And let me know who you guys think I should make next. I might be doing some flash quick make. Since you guys have my template, you guys can send me some stuff and show me what you can make with what you've seen. I know his arrow's wrong, but I didn't have the blue arrow on set, but I will have it fixed before I release it. And I'll see you guys next time.